Hello and welcome to Dateline London. Unease from Germany and Russia about the bombing campaign in Libya, banning the burqa in France, and Rupert Murdoch's News of the World faces a series of lawsuits over alleged phone hacking. My guests today are Abdel Bari Atwan of Quds Arabi, Nabila Ramdani, who's a French-Algerian journalist, Henry Chu of the Los Angeles Times, and Simon Jenkins of The Guardian. Good to see you all. Barack Obama, Nicolas Sarkozy and David Cameron issued their joint manifesto on Libya this week, papering over the gulf within NATO and the shortage of frontline firepower by everyone except the United States. Plus, Russia suggested that the bombing campaign had already exceeded its UN mandate. How much trouble is this campaign in, Simon?
I think it's in the same trouble it was always in. It was implausible. Here we are intervening in the classic fashion, half-heartedly with air power, thinking we can influence a war from the air. With a very dodgy mandate, depending heavily on Arab support. The Arab support is clearly not there any longer. All the things that the experts said would happen if you went in with air power alone have happened, which is that the other side buried themselves in the people. It's not working out. They're now clearly engaging in mission creep. They talk of getting a new UN resolution, which I think they won't get. It's a really problematical intervention. It doesn't work, these things. And
they've raised the stakes this week, Nabila, because, I mean, if you looked at that article which was published in Britain and the Times, also in France and the United States, it basically says, although it doesn't use the term, regime change is our aim. Gaddafi's got to go and go for good.
Very much so, and I think, you know, at the very beginning, it was always implicit in the UN resolution that the end game was regime change, and now they're more honest about it. It doesn't make it right. It
doesn't make it happen either, which is whether you think it's right or not. Because, I mean, I wondered how long the stomach will be to continue a campaign from the air with results which are not spectacular. In other words, if Gaddafi goes next week, it'll all be a success, they'll say, and everybody will go back home. But if it goes on for another year...
But also we're assuming that the air campaign will continue. We're seeing now that more and more the division within NATO, the vast majority of the countries are against stepping up the air campaign. Nicolas Sarkozy is very much the hawk-in-chief in all that. He based his calculation on a complete misreading of the situation in Libya. He mishandled the situation in Tunisia and Egypt, and he wanted a quick fix for Libya. But of course, Libya is a completely different country, and he's realizing now that unless he gets the US involved, it's going to be really tricky.
Henry, how would you characterise Obama's handling of this? I mean, some people have said he's dithered, others have said he's just reluctant and very sensibly so. I mean, he's certainly blown hot and cold as to what he should do.
But I think from the beginning he's been reluctant. I mean, everybody is saying that the US is stepping back now, but it would have to be dragged into agreeing to a no-fly zone at the beginning. So I don't think Obama was ever gung-ho about this. Now, he's already put the case before the American people, and now he's sort of caught in this situation where he needs to be shown to be strong, but he still has domestic worries that he has to take care of at the moment, and I think that's another reason why the US is really just stepping back.
He just doesn't want another foreign entanglement.
Right, with a Muslim country.
With a Muslim country. Barry, one of the big puzzles, and Nabila reflected on it a couple of weeks ago, is who are the opposition exactly? I mean, who are the people that Gaddafi is fighting? Who are these guys?
Well, it's a cocktail of deadly people, to be honest. You know, I think the West is, you know, heading to a very messy stalemate, and the scene is going to change dramatically in the coming few weeks. Personally, I believe the people who are fighting Gaddafi in the beginning, it is, you know, Islamic Salafist, Al-Qaeda, Islamists. So
which is what Gaddafi said. I mean, the Gaddafi
exactly. You know,
regime has always said that.
He is the biggest liar in the Middle East, but he was partly right here. Well, I know personally, seriously, I know personally that the people who are fighting, they are Islamic extremists. And Zawahiri yesterday issued a video tape. Yeah, he's Al-Qaeda and the second man of Al-Qaeda. He issued a statement that, you know, Al-Qaeda and the Muslim people should fight the NATO forces. So, and this is very, very drastic changes in the situation. Why? Because, you know, we know the eastern area of Libya, always the hotbed of extremist and Al-Qaeda people. I know that personally. And second, those people managed actually to get a lot of arms and ammunitions and missiles from the warehouse of Gaddafi armies, because, you know, when it was deserted in the beginning of the revolution. So now it could be a very deadly cocktail. What they are heading to at, I don't know, but I believe, you know, because Al-Qaeda and Islamic Maghreb is there. And now, you know, if you give them ammunition, if you give them a failed state in Libya, that's what they are looking for.
Do you agree with that?
I think I would qualify it slightly. There are certainly extremist elements within the rebels, but also, from what I know, I've been to Libya myself many times, that they are highly educated people with you know, degrees in engineering, in literature, whatever, who are just fed up of the Gaddafi regime, and they've been given assurance from the West that the West was going to help them to and effectively lead them to outright victory.
But do you think that the West should arm the rebels? Do you think other contiguous Arab states, Tunisia and Egypt, are the two, should intervene in some way? I mean, how do you think this can be resolved?
I think we've now reached, it's very clear, a military deadlock. We cannot win a war by keeping up the air campaign alone. That's abundantly clear. And we have to deal with the enemy politically, and that's what diplomacy is all about. We have to engage with the Gaddafi regime. We have to sit down and see what lies ahead for Libya.
But I mean, to go back to the start of this conversation, the stakes have been raised this week. It's regime change or bust for the three governments who signed up to it effectively this week.
I don't know what else one can say. It was always the case. I mean, the only point of going there was to topple Gaddafi. There was no other point in going there.
It's to kill him. They make him clear that they want to kill him.
And they tried to kill him. They dropped
him.
There is no mandate to kill him. There is no, you know, because
there is a mandate. As far as the West is concerned, they have decided that we want to kill Gaddafi. It was a decision taken. We didn't want to kill Mubarak. We don't want to kill Salah in Yemen. But in this case, for some reason I still find baffling, we decided we wanted to be the people who got rid of Gaddafi. And it was just a high-risk decision to take. And we did exactly the same with Saddam Hussein, and it took 10 years of desperate war.
Yeah. And the riddle of Musa Kusa.
Yeah.
Now, the defector, who's now seems to be able to travel around the world as he wants. I mean, what's his role in this? Because there's a lot of questions that people would like to hear him answer publicly, like Lockerbie, WPC, Yvonne Fletcher, what his role was, if any, and those kind of things.
that's what amazed me about the West here and the hypocrisy. You know, one day he's a criminal and his assets frozen completely by the government, and the other day he's a hero. You know, this man, Musa Kusa, served Gaddafi for 30 years, and he was the head of the intelligence service. He was behind of a lot of Gaddafi crimes. But suddenly, because he came to London and he was debriefed by the MI6 or MI5, I don't know, you know, suddenly he's a reformed man, he's a nice man, and he can travel freely, he could have also political asylum. So this is the problem. You know, when you switch sides, immediately everything, you are repented, you are very clear, you know, you can do whatever you like to do. But I believe it is very dangerous here. You know, those people actually are criminals.
But he's become almost like an ambassador. He's actually campaigning to warn the West against a possible partition of the country. He prevents, you know, he warns the West against, you know, a more profound civil war, more long-lasting civil war. So
do you think he's the next president of Libya? I mean, do you think that's what's regime change might mean? It sounds like there's
some bit of grooming going on in the background.
Yeah, but you know what amazed me? He said a very, very important word. He said Libya could be heading to be another Somalia. This is a man of intelligence.